Hello and welcome back to another tutorial on watercolor. Here I'm back into my sketchbook and we can see this is a tree in full foliage. In the background it says a bank of tree olive green, which we get in August. This was sketched back in 2013, so I'm going to use this anyway. It's a hedgerow of light green, dark shadowy at the foot, so a hedge here, small sort of bush there, yellow stubble field, indicative of this time. So it says a field and tree near Duckin, Stanhoe. So the Duckin is a pub there, and the light is coming in from the right hand side. So very straightforward. We'll just get straight into this, put the sketch on the paper and get stuck in. So our sketch is done. We're just going to get straight into this. As per usual, we're going to start with the sky and work on the foreground. Summery sky. Pop in some water. Pop in some ultramarine. Let that work its way down. Very clear water. Pop in some raw sienna. Nice and fresh in there. Leaving a few sort of whites for the clouds. Just get this underpainting done first. Obviously this needs to be tonally darker in this section than the midsection. So I'll just bring in a touch of that and let that bleed in. Take out a little patch here because we want this to be the focal point where the tree is, so we'll just make that a little bit lighter along there. And this first stage done, except these trees here, we could pop these in so that they were olive green in my notes. So let's mix up some olive green, that's cadmium yellow, touched in with the ultramarine and a little touch of Payne's grey. Some of these might blend and bleed up, which would be quite nice. Keep that there, that'll do. Soften off on the edge here. Just with clear water. Take that back. In the distance, we'll touch in some blue in there. That's a bit too strong, so we'll just take it out with clear water. Blend and bleed in. Do something that should run down. Quite like that edge, so I'm going to keep the edge on there. Just want to touch that to go in behind here. Just clear water again. Okay, we'll dry this off and we'll move on to the second stage. So moving on to the next stage, we're going to work on this foreground brush. As hedgerow, light green to dark green, shady. So we've got a mixture that we had here. Just pop in some cadmium yellow and lighten this up a bit. We won't mess around, we'll get this in fast. Give them some dry brush as well. We'll have this going all the way across. Then we can pop in some shadows in here. I might just add a touch of darker colour. This ultramarine into the original mixture. pop in a few fence posts as well. They're always quite good near trees. That's just this burnt umber mixture. We'll have them just poking through it a little bit. One on here. That'll do. Now we can work on the tree itself. Just pop this in dark. Managed to go a bit darker in here. Hopefully you can see that. I'm also on a bit of dry brush. If I can get that in. There we go. Just have that breaking up a little bit. Now, all these gaps, it looks a bit weird. All the gaps will be filled in with foliage. I think we're just about done. It's easy to go over the top on this. Just have a couple more dry brush things going off there. And that's that. We'll wait for this to dry and then we'll get into the last little bit. So I'm just going to dampen down in here with some more liquid and pop in some darker notes. That's the just want to make this a little bit more substantial. Probably not that substantial. Let's just take it some of this here. The whole focal point is about this tree. Just putting a bit of foreshortened tree work there. Okay. Put in some dry brush stuff as well. And I'm going to soften that off a little bit on the base so that the liquid will run off of that. Then the track, we'll pop in some of these stubbly tracks as well. Just with the same raw umber. Just kind of guides the eye in a bit. Dot in a few bits of stubble. Not much, just suggestions really. And then we're going to work on the foliage. Take our original sort of mixture, lighten it up a bit. And we're going to come in down like this. Remembering to leave some sky holes as well. Big tree, lots of branches going off the page obviously there. So very large. Summer tree. And then we'll go in with some darker mixture as well, using the same three colours, Payne's Grey, Ultramarine, and this cadmium yellow. Now we can either put this in as it is wet, and you'll get these sorts of effects, or you can also put it in when this is all off and dry. Creates two different sorts of effects really. I quite like this effect. It's just dotting in, not much, just to let it do its own thing. It's just creating the shape of the tree on the side of the brush, if you notice here. Just stroking it in gently. Now we said there were some sort of shadows coming across in the background. And that really is too strong. I don't want that strong. I didn't really want that edge, so I'll just take that out slightly. Soften that off with some water. That's better. That pushes all this back. And then really the last thing on this whole painting is, when this is dry, put in some shadow work. Now, there's a couple of little things I've noticed on the canopy of the tree we didn't quite look carefully enough at. Kind of comes out more bulky down below, so I just popped in a couple of bits there. Trouble now is that this tone and this tone are too similar, but we'll sort that out when we pop in some shadows. I'm just gonna bring in a little touch of warmth in here, just to pull this forward a little bit. There we go. Don't want much. And just scratch in a couple of branches in there. Not much of that. And now we're going to mix up the shadow colour, so we'll get rid of this green from there. We'll do two shadow colours as normal. Those are in crimson and ultramarine, blue. Get one nice and warm. We said the light was coming in across this way, so we'll make sure the light does come in across that way. We'll pop in a shadow in here. Ooh, a big shadow. And we can soften some of that off as well by just putting in some clear water. That's coming down. That's quite nice, but it's going a bit mad. That's not what I wanted. So we can always take this out before it comes back to haunt us. Just clear that off again. That'll run its way down. And I'm going to have to sort that out because that's actually done something I wasn't expecting, which is always good fun, isn't it, in the watercolours. Let's pop that yellow back in there and we can fix that up in a little while. So we've taken all that passage out. We'll have to wait for that to dry, but we can fix that. It's not a problem. And I think it's because this mixture was so strong, but we're going to pop in some of it in the shadows just on the bottom of these bushes here and just let it do its own thing in there. Okay. Then we'll come back when this is dry and sort this out, this foreground. So we're back again. A couple of things I did. Strengthened up in here. Just scratched in a few bits and bobs there. Obviously we tried to get this sorted out so we run a bit pear-shaped. We'll just come back in now with some of this dry mixture just to bring in these lines back in. Sometimes these things happen. You've got to kind of think of ways to rescue these kinds of paintings. There's a bit of dry there. Okay, that'll be enough on that. Just put in a couple more of these strokes in here just to give it a bit of a shape, as we lost some of it when we put in the foliage. Okay, again with these as well, try and retain the light around here. And then the final little thing here, as you say final, will really be the shadows that we're going to pop in. Just soften this off, popping in some shadows coming across the foreground, and that will be that, as they say. So the foreground shadow, actually messed up before, just going to drop in a touch of water, so I've kind of got the design that I want to do with this. It'll be some tree type leaves coming across. Make sure we leave space in between. Just strengthen that one up there. Pop in a touch of this burnt sienna to warm it up a little bit. Make sure we're keeping the light in underneath the underpainting. Just strengthen that up a little bit, just to warm that up here, so it pushes that back. And then we're just going to let that dry, and we'll take off the tape and see how it reads. But before we take off the tape, let's scratch in a couple of these. We don't need too many in. But it'll just guide the eye back a little bit. Okay, time to take off the tape. I mean, sometimes you get paintings where you think, oh, this is simple, this is easy. And I kind of messed up a bit there, as you saw. But it's about not panicking, realising that when things are wet, if the foreground was wet, you can always take the passage out and work back into it. And that's a key thing to remember. When you're out painting, don't panic. Just take your time, think about it. Watercolor is water by the very nature of it. I could have always sprayed into it as well with my diffuser and just dampened it all down. But actually, I like the way this turned out. Hopefully you did. Remember to like, to subscribe, to comment, and to ring that bell. But most importantly, take care now, and happy painting.